The Valerian Empire was a shining jewel of order and power. Its capital world, Zathara Prime, gleamed under twin suns, its cities stretching across continents with towers that sparkled like crystal. Today the citizens celebrated. Drums of victory echoed through the streets, banners waved proudly, and the air was filled with laughter. The Empire had defeated a rebellious faction at the edge of its territory, and the people rejoiced in the glory of their leaders and fleets. High above the city, the Imperial Fleet Command monitored routine patrols. Admiral Kareth strode through the bridge of the flagship Eclipse, his uniform crisp, his eyes sharp. The screen showed normal readings. Nothing threatened the Empire, not today. Yet something deep in his instincts whispered unease. Suddenly, the warning alarms blared. A red light bathed the command deck and the crew froze. On the main display, a shape emerged from hyperspace, massive, dark, and unlike anything the sensors had ever seen. The Terran Dreadnought hung above the planet, its hull glinting in the twin suns' light. It was enormous, far larger than any vessel in the Imperial Navy, its surface covered with weapons and strange symbols no Valerian had ever encountered. What in the void? Admiral Kareth muttered, eyes widening. The bridge erupted in controlled panic. Officers shouted coordinates and warnings. The scanners struggled to measure the ship's mass, its energy output, its weapons. Every reading suggested impossible power. The Dreadnought was not just a ship. It was a fortress, a moving citadel of destruction. Meanwhile, aboard the Terran Dreadnought, humans moved with calm precision. Captain Elena Reyes walked along the bridge, her crew operating systems with perfect coordination. Every movement, every command was efficient and deliberate. No panic, no hesitation, just focus. They had come to deliver a clear message, and they would do it without unnecessary risk. Back on Zathara Prime, citizens looked up at the sky, seeing the enormous shadow creeping across their cities. Children pointed, adults froze, and for a moment even the city's loud celebrations were silenced. The humans were not attacking, yet, but their presence alone sent a wave of fear through the Empire. In the Imperial Council Hall, Lord Regent Valmir pounded his staff against the floor. "Prepare the fleets! Summon the admirals. We cannot allow a single Terran ship to dictate terms to the Empire," he roared. The council members scrambled, issuing orders to mobilize all nearby forces. The Empire's pride burned like wildfire. They had never imagined an enemy so powerful appearing without warning. Admiral Kareth issued his own commands. Activate the orbital defense platforms. Scramble the fighter wings. Prepare every cruiser for engagement. Show them that the Valerian Empire does not bow to fear. The city below began evacuation protocols. Citizens were ushered into shelters, guided by soldiers and automated systems. Yet as alarms blared and ships launched into orbit, the Terran Dreadnought remained still. Its presence alone challenged every assumption the Empire had about power, strategy, and dominance. In the early hours of the standoff, a small probe from the Dreadnought entered Valerian space. It scanned communications, observed patrol patterns, and returned data in seconds. The humans were learning quickly, predicting moves almost before they happened. Every countermeasure the Empire planned seemed ineffective. The Dreadnought did not strike recklessly. It acted with patience and intelligence. Back on the bridge of the Eclipse, Admiral Kareth clenched his fists. He studied the massive ship, its shadow stretching over cities like a dark tide. "This is unlike anything we've faced," he admitted quietly. "We must understand it before it acts, or we are doomed." At that moment, the first human broadcast reached Imperial frequencies. A calm, measured voice spoke in the Valerian tongue. "Valerians of Zathara Prime, we come not to destroy without cause. We come to warn. Your empire has grown strong, but the galaxy is larger than you imagine. This ship is the Terran Dreadnought. It represents a force beyond conquest or fear. Do not mistake patience for weakness." The council members froze. The citizens listening from shelters whispered in fear. Even the most confident admirals felt a chill run through them. Humans were no ordinary threat. They were precise, powerful, and unyielding. Admiral Kareth exhaled slowly, gripping the edge of the console. "The Empire faces its greatest challenge," he murmured. "Not an enemy of numbers, but an enemy of skill, of unity, of resolve. We must rise, or we will fall before they even fire a shot." Above Zathara Prime, the Terran Dreadnought floated silently, its engines humming with quiet authority. The shadow in the sky was no longer just a shape, it was a message. Humanity had arrived, and the Empire would never be the same. The Terran Dreadnought hung above Zathara Prime like a silent storm, its massive hull reflecting the twin suns. Below, the Valerian Empire scrambled to respond. Orbital defense platforms powered up, fighter wings launched in formation, and massive cruisers moved into position. The city's streets buzzed with alarms and activity as soldiers and citizens braced for what seemed inevitable: war. Admiral Kareth stood on the bridge of the Eclipse, his eyes scanning the enormous dreadnought. Every report from the scanners painted the same picture. The humans were beyond anything the Empire had faced. The ship's weapons were too numerous, too precise, too fast. Its energy shields flickered only for a moment when hit by the Empire's missiles. "They're not even moving aggressively," whispered Lieutenant Saris, Kareth's second in command. "And still, our attacks cannot penetrate their defenses." Captain Elena Reyes of the Terran Dreadnought observed the same battle from her bridge, calm as ever. Humans worked like a single mind, every crew member performing their role with perfect timing. Sensors tracked every Valerian ship, and automated systems calculated precise countermeasures before a single human had to act. The first volley of the Valerian fleet was launched. Thousands of missiles streaked toward the dreadnought like fiery meteors. The humans activated their energy shields, a glowing dome of power that absorbed the impacts without strain. Counterfire was swift and calculated. Energy beams sliced through Valerian cruisers, dismantling engines and weapons before the ships could even react. Back on Zathara Prime, civilians watched from shelters as flashes of light streaked across the sky. Explosions erupted in orbit, sending debris tumbling down toward the planet. The city's panic deepened. People whispered in fear and awe. The humans were not just strong, they were unstoppable. Inside the dreadnought, Captain Reyes gave quiet instructions. "Target the orbital batteries closest to the planet," she said. "Disable them but minimize collateral damage. We want them to see our strength, not suffer needlessly." A precise beam of energy shot from the dreadnought, hitting the first orbital battery. The massive structure shuddered, sparks flying, and then crumbled into floating debris. The other batteries quickly followed, each falling in perfect sequence, never allowing the Valerians a chance to regroup. Admiral Kareth gritted his teeth, fury and fear mixing in equal measure. "Every move they make? Perfect," he muttered. "Our entire fleet, outmatched by a single ship." Even the Valerian pilots were in shock. Fighter wings that had trained for years, that had defeated entire fleets, were falling one by one to the Terrans' drones and automated weapons. The humans were precise, striking only where needed, avoiding unnecessary damage. The Valerians had never seen enemies act with such control and intelligence. In the Imperial Council Hall, Lord Regent Valmir slammed his fist on the table. "We cannot allow this insolence. Fire everything at them." His advisors hesitated, fearful of the humans' response, but Valmir demanded action. "Our empire will not bow to a single Terran ship." The humans, however, were not reckless. Their attack drones struck only the enemy weapon systems, leaving the hulls intact. They disabled fighters, neutralized batteries, and cleared debris with calculated skill. It was a display of raw power, but with discipline and restraint. Every action was measured. Captain Reyes watched the results with quiet satisfaction. "They need to understand," she said softly. "We are not here to destroy without cause. We are here to protect and to warn." The battle continued for hours. The Valerian fleet tried new strategies: flanking maneuvers, energy volleys, rapid assaults. Each attempt failed before it even began. The humans adapted instantly, countering every move. Their technology was advanced, yes, but even more frightening was their teamwork and strategy. Every human knew their role. Every system anticipated the enemy's response. By nightfall, the skies above Zathara Prime were scarred with the remnants of the Valerian fleet. Fires burned in orbit from destroyed ships, and the city below held its collective breath. The Terran Dreadnought remained above, undamaged, calm, and silent. Its presence alone had changed the balance of power. Admiral Kareth finally spoke to the Council via secure channel, his voice heavy with defeat. "We cannot win by force. Every fleet, every weapon we have, insufficient. We are facing an enemy beyond our understanding, beyond our capability." Lord Regent Valmir's face turned pale, though his pride still demanded words. "Then that we must learn why they are here, why this ship exists. We cannot surrender without knowing our enemy." On the dreadnought, Captain Reyes prepared for the next step. The humans had shown the Empire their strength, but the true purpose of their arrival was yet to be revealed. Their presence was a warning, a test and a message. The galaxy was changing and humanity would lead that change. Above Zathara Prime, the Terran Dreadnought glowed faintly under the suns. Shadows stretched across the land below, a reminder of the humans' unmatched power. The Empire had seen the might of humanity, and the world would never be the same. The Valerian Empire had never felt so small. Above Zathara Prime, the Terran Dreadnought hovered like a silent titan, its massive frame casting shadows across cities, rivers, and forests. Citizens huddled in shelters, their eyes glued to the skies, while soldiers and pilots prepared for the impossible. A battle against an enemy far stronger and smarter than anything they had ever faced. Admiral Kareth paced the bridge of the Eclipse, reviewing reports of losses from the previous day. Thousands of fighters, dozens of cruisers, and even orbital defense batteries had been neutralized with precision. The Terran Dreadnought had not destroyed the cities, but it had shown that it could. Every action it had taken was controlled, measured, and terrifyingly effective. "Admiral," said Lieutenant Saris, "our forces are ready for the first strike. If we move together, perhaps we can overwhelm them with numbers." Kareth's face was grim. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "but every calculation shows they anticipate our moves. Still, and we must try. We cannot simply wait. The Empire expects action." Orders were given. The Valerian fleet formed a massive assault formation, spreading across the orbital plane. Fighters darted forward like swarms of lightning. Cruisers advanced in coordinated lines, and massive warships readied energy volleys. Their plan was simple: overwhelm the Dreadnought with numbers and firepower, force it to retreat, and reclaim the skies above Zathara Prime. The humans, as always, were ready. Captain Elena Reyes stood calmly on the bridge of the Dreadnought. "They are confident," she said, her voice steady. "Let them act. Every move they make is predictable if we watch carefully." As the Valerian fleet charged, Terran sensors tracked every ship. Automated defense drones deployed silently, weaving through space like threads of light. Energy shields rippled outward and precise counterfire began. Valerian fighters, agile and fast, were disabled by targeted EMP bursts. Cruisers found their engines destroyed before they could maneuver. Every attack was met with efficiency that seemed almost unnatural. Despite the devastation, the Valerians pressed on. Explosions illuminated the sky. Metal twisted and burned, and yet the humans remained undamaged. From the city shelters below, citizens could see the spectacle of war in orbit, a terrifying and awe-inspiring display. Even children whispered, "They are not like anyone we know." Amid the battle, the first Valerian attempt at stealth worked. A small team of officers managed to approach the Dreadnought undetected, using a modified shuttle to navigate through debris and energy pulses. Their goal: infiltrate the massive ship, gather intelligence, and perhaps discover a weakness. Inside the shuttle, Commander Loris, a skilled Valerian strategist, whispered to his team. "We may be walking into the impossible," he said, "but if we understand them, perhaps we can save our empire." The shuttle approached the Dreadnought's outer hull. Sensors detected openings, small maintenance ports that could provide access. The team prepared for boarding, unaware that the humans had already anticipated such moves. Automated systems scanned the shuttle, but instead of attacking immediately, they allowed it to dock, observing every action with precision. Back on the bridge of the Eclipse, Kareth watched the main display. "They are controlling everything," he muttered. "Every move we make is predicted. We are in a storm we cannot see or touch, and yet we must act." As the Valerian strike continued, the Terrans began their true display of strategy. While defending against the large fleet, small groups of attack drones moved to neutralize key targets: orbital factories, weapons depots, and command satellites. The humans struck with perfect timing, minimizing destruction of civilian areas while crippling the Empire's ability to fight back. Captain Reyes observed calmly. "We do not destroy indiscriminately," she said. "Our goal is to show strength, not chaos. The Empire must see that their choices matter." Inside the infiltrated shuttle, Valerian officers realized the truth. The Dreadnought was not just a weapon. It was a fortress, a network of intelligence, strategy, and precision. Every corridor, every system, every human crew member acted in perfect coordination. The humans were not merely strong, They were unified in purpose and flawless in execution. As the first strike reached its climax, the Valerian fleet had suffered staggering losses. Dozens of ships were disabled or destroyed, and the survivors were retreating. The Dreadnought remained untouched, hovering above the planet like a sentinel. The Empire faced an undeniable truth. Brute force alone could not defeat humanity. Admiral Kareth lowered his head, his pride wounded, but his mind racing. "This is only the beginning," he said. "If we are to survive, we must understand them, or we will be erased from the stars." Above Zathura Prime, the Terran Dreadnought glowed faintly in the light of the twin suns. Its presence was no longer just a warning, it was a lesson. Humanity had arrived, and their methods, their discipline, and their resolve were unmatched. The Empire had faced its first strike, and already it had learned the cost of underestimating the humans. The small Valerian shuttle floated silently through the docking bay of the Terran Dreadnought. Commander Loris and his team's hearts pounded with fear and excitement. They had seen the Dreadnought's power from orbit, but nothing had prepared them for its interior. The corridors were vast and clean, walls lined with glowing panels and soft hums of energy flowing through the ship. Automated systems moved with purpose, quietly observing the intruders. "Stay calm," Loris whispered. "We need information, not heroics. Every step matters." The humans on duty did not confront them immediately. Sensors had tracked the shuttle's approach and entry, but instead of attacking, the crew watched. Every Valerian move was noted. The Dreadnought systems analyzed, predicted, and prepared, yet made no unnecessary aggression. The corridors seemed endless. Massive doors slid open seamlessly, revealing rooms filled with humans working in perfect coordination. Engineers adjusted glowing machinery, navigators plotted stellar paths, and soldiers trained with calm precision. Every movement had purpose, every action precise. The Valerians realized they were not seeing a ship. They were seeing a civilization in miniature, a society of skill and unity. This is beyond anything we imagined," muttered Lieutenant Maris, scanning a map display of the ship. "It's not just technology. It's the people. Everything works together perfectly." They pressed forward, careful not to trigger alarms. Loris focused on their objective: gather intelligence on the Dreadnought systems, weapons, and weaknesses. Yet as they observed, the Valerians could not help but notice the human sense of calm. There was no panic, no anger, no fear, just focus and understanding. It was unnerving. In the bridge control room, Captain Elena Reyes oversaw operations with quiet authority. She had been informed of the intruders and chose to confront them personally, though not with violence. "They are small and cautious," she said to her first officer. "Let us see what they seek." Understanding comes before conflict. When the Valerians entered the bridge, they expected battle, but found something different. Captain Reyes stood there, tall and confident, her gaze steady. "I am Captain Elena Reyes," she said clearly. "You are far from your empire. I do not wish to harm you if you act with honesty." Loris's team froze, exchanging astonished glances. The humans had seen them but had chosen diplomacy over attack. We seek knowledge," Loris said cautiously. "We need to understand your ship, your technology, your strength," Reyes nodded. "You will see, but not as conquerors. We value life, even the life of those who oppose us. We act with precision and purpose, not chaos. You may learn from what you see if your hearts are open." The Valerians followed her through the ship. Systems that seemed magical to them were simple tools for the humans. Energy shields, navigation, and weapon targeting were all integrated into a single network, allowing the Dreadnought to respond instantly to threats. They saw soldiers coordinating like a single organism, drones moving as if part of a collective mind. "The humans are different," whispered Maris. "Not just strong. They understand each other. They work together perfectly. There is no waste, no fear. It's terrifying and inspiring." Captain Reyes led them to a viewing chamber overlooking the planet. From there, Zathura Prime looked peaceful, almost untouched, despite the destruction in orbit. "Our goal is not to destroy unnecessarily," she said. "We strike only when required, and we act with responsibility. Strength alone is not enough. Understanding and unity are what make us powerful." The Valerians felt a mix of fear and admiration. They had seen their enemies' weapons, but now they were seeing their morality, their discipline, and their intelligence. Humanity was a force unlike any other in the galaxy. The Dreadnought was more than a warship. It was a symbol of what humans could achieve together. Commander Loris realized the truth. They are not invincible because of their ships, he said quietly to his team. They are invincible because of who they are. We cannot fight just machines. We must face their unity, their courage, their discipline. Captain Reyes looked at them calmly. You may return to your empire with this knowledge, she said. We do not seek unnecessary conflict. But understand this, the galaxy is changing. Those who act with wisdom and unity will thrive. Those who cling to fear and pride will be left behind. The Valerians left the Dreadnought with heavy hearts. They had learned the true nature of humanity, strength tempered by wisdom, power guided by discipline, and unity that could overcome any obstacle. As their shuttle departed, Loris glanced back at the immense ship, its hull glowing faintly in the sun. Above Zathara Prime, the Terran Dreadnought waited patiently. It was not a conqueror but a guardian, and the Empire had only just begun to understand the force it faced. The Valerian Empire had faced its first strike and survived. But survival did not mean victory. Above Zathara Prime, the Terran Dreadnought floated like a silent judge, its engines humming softly, a reminder of the humans' unmatched power. The Empire's leaders gathered in the council hall, their faces pale and tense. Lord Regent Valmir slammed his staff on the table, breaking the silence. Our fleets are shattered. Our defenses are crippled. And still, that ship remains untouched above our world. How can we fight an enemy like this? Admiral Kareth stepped forward, his uniform wrinkled, his hair disheveled. We cannot fight them with force alone, he said. Every strategy, every attack we made failed. They are beyond our technology, beyond our fleets, and beyond our understanding. The council murmured among themselves, fear and pride clashing in every word. The Empire had always believed in its strength, in its fleets, in its ability to conquer or defend. But now, for the first time, that belief faltered. Meanwhile, on the Terran Dreadnought, Captain Elena Reyes observed the Empire's activity from orbit. They are deciding, she said calmly to her first officer. They may still resist, but they are learning. We do not need to destroy them to teach our lesson. The humans had demonstrated their power clearly. Orbital defenses destroyed, fleets disabled, strategic strikes executed with precision. But no city had been destroyed unnecessarily. No civilian harmed. Every action had shown restraint and wisdom, teaching the Valerians that humanity's strength was more than just weapons. Admiral Kareth spoke again. We have no choice but to negotiate. If we continue fighting, we will lose everything. But if we act wisely, perhaps we can preserve the Empire, even under new rules. Lord Regent Valmir's pride struggled against fear. Negotiate? With humans? The very creatures who shattered our fleets? The very creatures who have shown us our weakness? Yes, Kareth said firmly. They are not seeking destruction. They want order, unity, and respect for their capabilities. We cannot match them in battle, but we can choose our own path. Survival is still ours if we act wisely. The Council sent a communication to the Terran Dreadnought. A single transmission, concise and respectful, requesting dialogue. Minutes passed. Then a calm voice filled the council chamber, speaking in perfect Valerian. Valerians of Zathara Prime, you have seen our strength. You have witnessed what unity, discipline, and purpose can achieve. We offer you a choice. Resist and face certain loss, or act wisely and join the galaxy in a new era of order and cooperation. The decision is yours. The room fell silent. Every citizen, every leader, every soldier felt the weight of those words. This was no ordinary ultimatum. It was an invitation to change, to accept that humanity had risen as a force beyond the old rules of the galaxy. Outside, citizens looked up at the Dreadnought. Its shadow stretched over the city, but there was no aggression, no immediate threat. They whispered to one another, realizing that these humans were not monsters. They were a new standard of excellence. The Empire chose caution. They agreed to meet with human envoys, opening dialogue for the first time. Fleets were ordered to retreat to safe positions. Weapons were put on low alert, and communication channels remained open. It was not surrender. It was a careful recognition of reality. Captain Reyes prepared a team to descend to the planet. She moved with her usual calm, her crew ready to meet the Valerian leaders. Their mission was clear: to establish understanding, to teach the Empire the lessons of unity, strategy, and discipline without unnecessary bloodshed. When the human envoys landed, The Valerians met them with awe and respect. They were ordinary humans, yet every action, every word carried authority and wisdom. They spoke of order, responsibility, and the strength that came from unity and purpose. They did not boast. They did not threaten. They simply conveyed the truth of their capabilities. Lord Regent Valmir listened, his pride humbled, his fear replaced with cautious respect. Admiral Kareth felt hope stir. Perhaps this was not the end of the Empire, but the beginning of a new era, one guided by understanding, cooperation, and a respect for the true strength of humanity. As the Terran Dreadnought lifted slightly above orbit, its engines humming softly, it became clear the humans had achieved their goal. They had shown power, restraint, and wisdom. The Empire had faced the impossible and survived, not through victory but through insight and choice. Above Zathara Prime, the twin suns glinted off the Dreadnought's hull. The shadow it cast was still long but no longer terrifying. It was a symbol of a new era. Humanity had arrived not to destroy but to guide, protect, and set the galaxy on a path of unity and purpose. The Valerian Empire had faced its worst fear, and in doing so, it had learned that true power was not measured by fleets or weapons, but by discipline, strategy, and the courage to act with wisdom. And as humanity waited in orbit, the galaxy quietly shifted toward a new age, one where the Terran Dreadnought was only the beginning.